Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the International Wealth Builders Radio Show with your host, Dr. Sharon Barnes. I'm so happy that you're tuning in today. Very excited to have you with us. On our show, we talk all things real estate with the emphasis on accessory dwelling units. Now, some of my followers have told me that I need to remind them a little bit when I say ADU, what it stands for and what an accessory dwelling unit is. Well, an accessory dwelling unit is a small living space which is added to your existing home. And that property, that living space can be a garage conversion, it can be a detached single living unit. It can be attached by a junior ADU, less than 500 square feet. It can be a stick-built construction, modular, prefab. California, we have this housing crisis, and they basically have been evolving the laws under accessory dwelling units for all hands on deck, which means that most homeowners who've never been builders or developers before now have the opportunity to leverage the property they already own and control. So here at our show, we try to bring you local resources and information so that you can take advantage and change the wealth dynamic for your family and be a part of the solution to our ever-looming housing shortage. So today, I'm very excited to have Bill with us from USModular. And as I said, we talk real estate and we emphasize the accessory dwelling unit. But today we're in for a special treat because USModular has hundreds of projects that they've completed. And they do not only accessory dwelling units, they do multifamily, they do multi-generational, and they do commercial modular units. So with SB 9, which is one of the recent evolutions in the law of accessory dwelling units, we're getting a lot of calls from people who basically want to do a small development on their property and leverage that property they already own and control to the maximum. And I think that modular could be the answer. And USModular is definitely a resource here that we want to get to know and understand a lot better so we can increase our housing inventory. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm just so excited to have you. So just mentioned the name USModular Inc. Can you tell us a little bit about your company, what you would want us to know?
Sure. USModular Inc. is a full-service general contracting firm started back about 2007. There's three partners in there, have a combined experience of probably 65, 70 years in the general contracting and real estate development industry, and most of that is in the prefabricated realm. And prefabricated construction is just utilizes factory-built housing or structures where the unit itself is built inside a factory in a controlled environment, and that unit is brought to the site where we assemble them on site, on the site where we've already done the utilities and the foundation work. So it's a faster process, and we like it better because there is some cost savings there. And we think it's less disruptive to not only the residents of the home if it's an ADU, but the residents of a neighborhood if you're building even a single-family home or a multifamily home, because most of that loud banging and cutting and sawing is done in the factory. So you have a minimal amount of time on site and minimal amount of noise, so the impact locally is less, cost savings, and the fact that we can build it faster. It's just a win-win-win all the way around.
Oh, that sounds great. Now, I understand you're like a one-stop shop with modular, like from the design or the dream. If I'm thinking about doing an ADU
Right.
and I don't know what is next, if
Sure.
I'm thinking about going modular, then you're the one to call. Can you kind of explain that one-stop process?
Yeah, we've kind of used. I'm going to use the In-N-Out Burger approach of building, in that we don't do as much custom work as we used to, where we get a piece of paper out there and draw up a plan. We probably have 50 pre-designed accessory dwelling units, a size that will fit on most lots. And we have another 50, 60 pre-designed single-family homes that would fit on the majority of lots. If you're talking about multifamily, multi-story, I mean, that's a completely different animal. That would be a custom design where we'd get designers and architects involved. But right now, as Sharon had mentioned, the accessory dwelling unit market is really blowing up. There's a lot of interest for people because it's really an affordable way to add housing in California. And a lot of people are using it for as a rental property, so it creates income for themselves that they can help pay off their primary mortgage. We have a lot of people that are also bringing in aging parents, pulling them out of maybe a high-rise senior housing project. During COVID, I know I had a few people that built an ADU because they were worried that mom was stuck in this building and couldn't get out, so they wanted her to be closer to home. Or kids right now, you have kids coming out of college that can't afford to live in Southern California, so we have quite a few parents that are building an ADU in the backyard, and now the kids are close to home. It's a cost savings for them, but it's also a wealth builder for the parents because they're now generating an increase in value for their property.
Yeah, that sounds great. And, I've talked to hundreds of homeowners in the area. One of the first things they're always asking is how much it costs.
Sure.
And when we're talking about, say, ground up construction, there's so many moving parts and different parties. We need the architect before we get the contractor. Right. It's hard to give them a more solid price.
Sure.
You being a one-stop shop and being able to take them from dream to completion. Can you talk about how you can estimate the cost or how the cost factor is in?
Sure. Being a one-stop shop and working in most every city in Southern California, the major cities, LA, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, and a lot of the smaller cities around and counties, we know what your development costs are going to be, your development fees, your school fees. We know the cost of the building because it's a prefabricated structure, so I know what my cost on that building is. I know what my transportation costs are. So we have a pretty tight budget when it comes to what is the cost going to be. And it's square footage dependent, it's amenity dependent. It's like anything else. You can have a car that, a car could be brand new and cost $10,000, or you can have a car that's brand new and cost $100,000, depends on what you have in that car. Same thing with housing. If you want a simple structure that has simple appliances and finishes, you're going to obviously be on the lower end of the spectrum. And our ADUs, if we want to talk specifically about ADUs, we have all-in pricing that starts probably, in the $165,000, $170,000 range would be an entry-level small accessory dwelling unit, and that is inclusive of the design, the engineering, the foundation, the transportation, the house, the connection to the utilities, school fees. So we take the guesswork out of it, because a lot of times people don't have an idea, they want to do something, and then they have either sticker shock and says, well, I didn't realize it was going to cost that much. Well, I try to let people know up front, this is your range. These are your prices. And on our website, we basically say there's no surprises. We have all of our pricing listed on our website for every plan that we offer, and that's all in pricing. And obviously people can upgrade from there, those basic prices are going to have, pretty simple amenities. But people say, well, what's it going to cost for granite countertops? Well, I'll give you that price. Or what, if I want to go with a 9-foot sidewall instead of an 8-foot sidewall? Or what if I wanted to do a different type of exterior cladding? Well, we could do all of that. But so we can give you an idea before you, get too far down the road to know what this is going to cost you.
That's great because, really, if the estimate is pretty solid, and like you say, if it's in your realm of reality and your budget, and that sounds like something you want to go for, then we can get started and not really have a big sticker range at the end increase or disappearance. So we have, sometimes people get started. I have clients that, were like 70-80% finished with the accessory dwelling unit, and their contractor disappeared because they went over budget and they didn't have the money to finish. So
right. Well, our homes, because prefabricated, and a lot of the homes we build, and there's confusion in the industry when we use the word prefabricated. Prefabricated is kind of an encompassing term that includes a manufactured home, which is a home built to the federal building code. Modular, which is a home that's built to the local building code. Both are built in the factory, both are built with 95% the same materials that you would use in a site-built home. It just happens to be built in the factory, built to a different code. And then if you get into multifamily, it's a different animal. But prefabricated covers modular, covers manufactured, covers commercial modular. A lot of schools, you'll see modular buildings on there. That's a commercial modular space. I would say right now that majority of the homes that we're building as accessory dwelling units are using manufactured housing, which is built to the federal building code. And primarily, people are using that manufactured housing because the price point is pretty attractive.
That sounds great. Bill, I'm just so excited to continue our conversation. We have some questions and situations that's come up regarding modular in some of our surrounding cities. So stick with us. When we come back, we'll continue talking to Bill from US Modular about modular construction.